Hi folks, today's video is about, for want of a better term, weird stuff. So we all have that friend in our lives who likes slightly wacky, weird stuff, who maybe collects an odd assortment of trinkets or just likes odd topics. So these are kind of books that don't fit neatly into any category, but are really good for those kinds of people who are just very curious about things and the world and like slightly weird, almost microhistories of things. So without further ado, I'm going to share a few of those books that I have on my shelves, because I might be a little bit of that sort of person myself. So first up we have this book here, which is Cabinets of Curiosities, and this is lovely. It is full of very wacky things, and it's all about cabinets of curiosities, which were kind of a precursor to museums. They were private collections of stuff from all around the world, and this is sort of at the beginning of where globalization was really taking off, sort of this 18th century, and you've got, yeah, weird things coming back from far-flung lands to Europe, and they get put into these strange collections. And because you didn't have the kind of structure that you now have at museums, where things are categorized in certain ways, everything was a bit of a hodgepodge, which I absolutely love. I love the strange juxtaposition of different objects from different places, from, I mean, the real to the sort of fanciful, and things like taxidermy and all sorts. I'm going to show you a few things that I've got here. Artistic things, you've got natural history. Sometimes you've got a combination of the two, like this one here, where you've got coral, which has been put into all sorts of different artistic arrangements. There's some strange taxidermy type stuff and preserved animals, which some of them are real, some of them are not real. A lot of these are just strange things that were just made up. I imagine that a lot of this kind of aesthetic is what Snape's potions dungeon would look like. In the books he's described as having all sorts of horrible things on his walls, and yeah, this definitely makes me think of that. But it's not all horrible. There are some very beautiful things as well, and this is the kind of thing I imagine might be in Dumbledore's office. And then there are things like this, where carvings are done in very strange and miraculous ways, with objects inside other objects that would seem completely impossible to be able to carve. And I think there are hours of entertainment in here for the kind of person who likes this kind of thing. This is an image from the John Soane Museum. It's an illustration, which is in London. I've actually been there. It's a really weird sort of experience going around it, because it's somebody's house, or it was his house, and now it's a museum, but he sort of turned it into this museum of stuff that he brought back from various parts of the world and imported, and it's full of Greek statues, and it's so chocker full of stuff. I mean, if the 19th century had a reality show about hoarding, he probably would have been on it. But it is an amazing place, and if you're ever in London, I highly recommend it. It's so weird and wonderful. Anyway, that is Cabinets of Curiosities. The next book is also quite odd. This is all about Victorian wallpaper and arsenic that was found in wallpaper. It's called Bitten by Witch Fever, and that is because that's what they used to call it when people would start to kind of lose their minds a bit because of the arsenic in the wallpaper. So this is great for people who love design, because it is just full of beautiful designs of different wallpapers, and I just love it so much. So it's great for inspiration, but also inside, you can see it there, you've got these inserts. So the top bit there, that's all the wallpapers, but inside you've got, let me find one, inserts like this. So they're all in this vibrant vile green, which is also the lovely colour of the cover. And yeah, there are bits in here where you can read about the effects of arsenic, and that sort of micro-history. So I got this mostly because I love patterns and sort of the William Morris type aesthetic, and this is full of inspiration for that. So if you're into that kind of thing, then it's great for that. But also I'm kind of interested in also reading some of the other stuff, because it sounds very unusual, maybe a bit grim, but if you know anyone who is interested in that kind of history and that kind of hidden history, then that would be a great book. Then we got this one here, which is also full of inspiration if you are an artist, but it's also a great book to have just on your coffee table because it's beautiful. So this is Art Forms in Nature by Ernest Haeckel. I'm sorry I've got this plastic wrap on the outside of it, but inside you probably recognize some of these illustrations. These are public domain now, so you often find them on things like cushions, and I think you can buy them off various places on Society6. But the use of color and the weird forms in these images is just wonderful. So again, it's that kind of Victorian interest in nature and recording nature, but also doing it in quite an artistic way. So again, if you're interested in natural history, this will be a great book for that, but also just for inspiration for color and form. It's full of it, and that's particularly why I love it. But I also love natural history books and their aesthetics, and also finding out more about the natural world. Finally, we have this book here, which is all about taxidermy. This is published by Thames and Hudson, and it's very, very strange. Some of it makes me feel quite uncomfortable, but there is also a lot of beauty in here, and there are different sections, different ways that taxidermy has been used. The most interesting, I think, are the bits about art and taxidermy. It's one of my favourite artists here called Polly Morgan, who uses taxidermy, largely birds, that people send her or that she finds. She doesn't go out and kill birds to create these artworks. And I guess that's where the moral conundrum comes in with taxidermy. But aesthetically, there is so much interesting stuff in here, and there's a bit about freaks and fakes in here as well, which is very, very strange. There's also an anthropomorphic bit where animals are doing human things. But yeah, the freaks and fakes, here we have a very strange looking sheep thing with too many legs. And possibly my favorite is there is a dragon in that jar there, which has been put together with different parts of different animals. Rather interesting. A bit morbid, but if you have any friends in your life who like that kind of weird Victorian aesthetic, then this would be a great gift. I hope that this has inspired you for Christmas presents, and maybe you've found something here that you might be able to buy for a friend who is difficult to buy for. Or there might be something in here that you just want to get for yourself. That is perfectly okay. If you want to find me elsewhere online, I am at Holly Dunn Design on Instagram, and my website is hollydundesign.com. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!